Well, hey, howdy, hi. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for stopping by to join me today. I really do appreciate it. My name is Ellie, and I'm a witch. And this over here is my teaching assistant, Andy. And today is Monday, and on my channel, that means it is Misheard History. And today's history topic is actually a lot of them. We're going to go through the month of December, and it's just going to be a this day in history kind of video. If you ever wonder what authority to talk about any of these subjects with, I'm not currently in college. However, when I get the chance to go back, I am going to be studying. I'm going to double major in history and criminology. So if you have an interest in history, true crime, or maybe even cryptids, my channel is the place for you. Make sure you stick around and subscribe. I have a lot of cool stuff coming out this month. I'm going to talk about the history of Santa Claus, Christmas traditions around the world. We're going to talk about the history of Christmas itself. I have some Creatures of Christmas coming up for one of the first days of Kilmas, which is a series I'll be doing for instead of the 12 days of Christmas. But all of that rambling being said, this is going to be probably a little bit longer of a video, and it's going to be mildly boring depending on who you are, because I'm not going to delve into really any of these topics. I'm just kind of going to give you a date and then what happened, and then we're gonna move on because it's gonna be a lot. So if there's any of these that I touch on that maybe you want a full-length video on, or you want me to explain it a little bit more in depth, make sure to comment that down below so I know what y'all kind of are looking for. So with all that being said, let's jump into the video. So, like I said, this is going to be a this month in history kind of thing. So, we're just gonna go day by day. I'll give you one to probably, I think, 4 or 5 little topics. I think that my average is 3, so bear with me. So, starting December 1st, 1955, Rosa Parks starts the bus boycott in Montgomery, Georgia, after she refuses to give up her seat. Then in 1918, Iceland gained its independence from the Danish government, and in 1989, Mikhail Gorbachev visited the Pope at the Vatican, which ended the 72 years of strict atheism of communist Russia. December 2nd of 1959, the Malpasset Dam in France collapsed, killing 400 people. And then in 1982, the first ever permanent artificial heart implantation surgery is done on Barney Clark. He ended up surviving 112 days with his artificial heart. December 3rd of 1962, Edith Sampson is sworn in as the first African American female judge, having been elected Associate Judge of the Municipal Court of Chicago. 1910, the first public display of neon lights invented by Georges Claude. The event took place in the Paris Motor Show. 1967, the first ever successful heart transplant was performed by Christian Bernard on patient Louis Washkansky in Cape Town, South Africa. He ended up surviving for 18 days. On December 4th of 1829, Britain banned the practice of suti in India, which is a practice where women will set themselves on fire and burn to death on their husband's funeral pyre. 1952, the Great Smog of London caused thousands of deaths in the 4 days it was pregnant, and it started on this day. 1998, workers began assembling the International Space Station. December 5th of 1933, the prohibition ends in the United States by the ratification of the 21st Amendment. 1782, Martin Van Buren was born in Kinderhook, New York. He was the 8th president, but the first to be born as a citizen of the United States. And then in 1791, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart died at age 35 in Vienna, Austria. Originally, it was thought that he was poisoned due to his sudden and rapidly failing health. However, that is untrue. During his life, he composed over 600 musical pieces. People consider him one of the finest composers to ever live. December 6th, 1865, slavery is outlawed due to the ratification of the 13th Amendment. Quote, neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, save as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist with the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. 1973, Gerald Ford was sworn in under Richard Nixon as vice president after Spiro Agnew resigned following a case he pled no contest to. 1967, Adrian Kantrowitz performs the first pediatric heart transplant. 1921, Ireland's 26 southern states gained independence from Britain, becoming the Irish Free State. December 7th of 1941, Pearl Harbor is attacked by 200 Japanese aircrafts. Over 3,000 Americans lost their lives, this being a major catalyst in the United States joining World War II. 43 BCE, Cicero, or Marcus Tullius, dies. He was known as one of ancient Rome's greatest orators. 1787, Delaware becomes the first state to ratify the United States Constitution. December 8th of 1991, the USSR, or the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, is abolished, becoming instead the Commonwealth of Independent States. The remaining republics of the former USSR join the new Commonwealth with the exception of Georgia. 1941, the United States entered World War II, with both the US and Britain declaring war on Japan. And then in 1999, once again, Romania's constitution passes, marking the return of democracy and the end of 42 years of communist rule. December 9th, 1979, smallpox is declared to be eradicated, the first of only 2 diseases ever to be declared eradicated. 1992, Buckingham Palace announces the separation of Prince Charles and Princess of Wales Diana. 1965, Charlie Brown's Christmas airs for the first time on television, and then in 1993, US astronauts complete $3 million worth of repairs on the Hubble telescope. December 10th, 1901, 5 years to the day after Alfred Nobel's death, the first Nobel Prize is awarded. 1948, the United Nations adopt the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the document laid out to the human rights that were to be universally protected. 1989, Czechoslovakia sees its first non-communistic government in 41 years. 1830, Emily Dickinson was born in Amherst, Massachusetts. She died unknown, her poems only being published after her death, when her sister found over 2,000 poems locked away in Emily's belongings. And then in 1851, Melville Dewey was born in Adams Center, New York, he being the creator of the Dewey Decimal System for sorting books. December 11th of 1946, UNICEF, or the United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund, is founded. 1936, King Edward VIII announced his abdication of the throne through a radio broadcast to the nation. He abdicated the throne to marry the woman I love. The woman in question was twice divorced Willis Warfield Sampson, who was waiting for him in France. The couple was married about 6 months later. 2008, Bernard Madoff, or Bernie Madoff, is arrested. He was later convicted of fraud for being involved in the largest Ponzi scheme in the history of the United States. December 12th of 1870, Joseph Haynes Rainey from Georgetown, South Carolina, is the first African American to serve in the House of Representatives. 2009, Houston, Texas elects Anais Parker, becoming the largest city by population to elect an openly gay mayor. 1963, Kenya declares their independence from the UK. 1787, Pennsylvania becomes the second state to ratify the United States Constitution. December 13th of 1972, the last moon landing for humans, Apollo 17 being the last of the Apollo missions, being the 6th and final human landing on the moon. 1642, Dutch navigator Abel Tasman reaches New Zealand. He is the first European to reach New Zealand, and he named it Staten Land. He is also the first European to step foot in Tasmania, which is named after him. 1545, the Council of Trent was summoned by Pope Paul III to discuss doctrinal matters, one of which was the rise of Protestantism. 1937, Japan captured the Chinese city of Nanking, beginning one of the worst atrocities of World War II. Also known as the Rape of Nanking, Japanese soldiers spent the next 6 weeks attacking, raping, and killing an estimated 200,000 Chinese citizens. December 14th, 1918, women in Britain were able to vote and run for office for the first time. 1861, Prince Albert, consort and husband of Queen Victoria of England, died of typhoid fever at Windsor Castle. 1939, the League of Nations expelled Soviet Russia due to its aggression towards Finland. 1962, the Mariner Probe 2 sent back information about Venus, the first transmission from another planet. December 15th, 1791, the first 10 amendments, also known as the United States Bill of Rights, becomes the law when Virginia ratified the amendments. 1961, Nazi Secret Service Colonel Adolf Eichmann was sentenced to death in Jerusalem for his role in the Holocaust. He was responsible for the organizations of the deportation of Jewish people from all over occupied Europe to the Nazi death camps. 1995, European leaders announce a new currency that will be known as the euro. December 16th of 1773, the Boston Tea Party takes place in Boston at the Boston Harbor. 1969, the British House of Commons voted 343 to 185 to abolish the death penalty in England. 1991, the United Nations voted to revoke Resolution 3379, which was originally approved in 1975. The resolution equated Zionism with racism. December 17th of 1903, the Wright brothers aircraft takes flight, making it the first powered aircraft to do just that. 1790 in Mexico City, the Aztec stone calendar is excavated. This was also known as the Stone of the Five Eras. 1538, Pope Paul III excommunicated Henry VIII after Henry declared himself the supreme head of the Church of England. 1778, Sir Humphrey Davy was born. He is the inventor of the safety lamp that was used in mines, as well as having discovered sodium, magnesium, calcium, barium, and strontium. December 18th, 1966, Dr. Seuss's book, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, was adapted into an animated movie and was aired on CBS for the first time. 1892, the Nutcracker makes its debut in St. Petersburg, Russia. However, it was not met with praise at the time and didn't become popular until 50 or 60 years later. 1966, Saturn's moon Epimetheus was discovered, adding it to the count of 150 moons/satellites. December 19th, 1848. Emily Bronte, best known for her book Wuthering Heights, dies at age 30 of tuberculosis. And then in 1732, Benjamin Franklin published Poor Richard's Almanac, a book containing weather predictions, jokes, proverbs, and epigrams. December 20th of 1803, the Louisiana Purchase is completed, giving the United States ownership of the land. 1699, Peter the Great changed the Russian New Year from September 1st to January 1st, another step in his reformation of the Russian calendar. And then in 2008, Queen Elizabeth officially becomes the longest ruling monarch in English history. December 21st of 1937, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is released. 1846, anesthesia is used for the first time in Britain by Robert Liston during a surgery where he amputated the leg of a servant. December 22nd of 2010, the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy was repealed by President Obama. 1882, the first Christmas tree decorated with electric lights is displayed in New York. December 23rd of 1888, Vincent van Gogh cuts off his earlobe. Yes, just the lobe. He was in the middle of a breakdown and he took the earlobe to a prostitute for safekeeping. 1922, the world's first regular entertainment radio broadcast is transmitted by the BBC or British Broadcasting Corporation. December 24th, 1955, NORAD Santa tracking service begins. Now a Christmas tradition, it started out as a mistake. A Sears calendar printed an ad for children to call Santa Claus, but the number they included was the number for Colorado Springs Continental Air Defense Command. 1822, the Eggnog Riot takes place. The military academy in West Point, New York, was in an uproar when cadets drank too much eggnog spiked with smuggled whiskey. The riot lasted until the next day and is also known as the Grog Mutiny. 1914, the Christmas truce begins. Amidst World War I, British and German soldiers had an unofficial truce starting on Christmas Eve. Both sides came together singing carols, eating dinner, and exchanging gifts, playing football or soccer. December 25th, 1643, Christmas Island is found. It was named at the time it was originally seen, but it wasn't until 44 years later that Europeans actually stepped foot on the island. 1066, William the Conqueror was crowned King of England after he invaded England from France, killed King Harold at the Battle of Hastings, and then marched on London. December 26, 1966, the first Kwanzaa celebration begins. Celebrated annually from December 26th to January 1st, this celebration was created by Maulana Karenga as a celebration of African culture and heritage. December 27th, 1931, Charles Darwin begins his journey on the HMS Beagle. This was the beginning of the 5-year journey where he worked on his theory of evolution. 1845, anesthesia is used in childbirth for the first time. This event revolutionized the use of anesthesia in surgery and general procedures. 1931, Radio City Music Hall opens in New York City. December 28th of 1945, the United States Congress officially recognizes the Pledge of Allegiance, starts the flag. 1918, in Britain, the results of the first election in which women could participate in confirmed David Lloyd George as Prime Minister. December 29th, 1170, Thomas Becket, the Archbishop of Canterbury, was killed by 4 knights acting on orders from King Henry II. 1890, members of the U.S. 7th Cavalry massacred more than 200 Sioux men, women, and children at Wounded Knee Creek, South Dakota. December 30th, 1995, the UK saw the lowest recorded temperature in history. In northern Scotland, the temperature was negative 27.2 degrees Celsius, which is about negative 17 degrees Fahrenheit. 1879, the Royal Bijou Theatre in Paynton, Devon, sees the first performance of Gilbert and Sullivan's Pirates of Penzance. December 31st, 1907, we see the first ball drop in Times Square, New York. 2009, both a blue moon and a lunar eclipse happen on the same day. The next time we'll see this is in 2028. And then 1999, people dread the turning of the clock at midnight, bringing in the new millennium and many things unknown. So that's all I have for you today. That was a lot of words, and I'm gonna be honest, I was just reading them. Like, that was too much to actually, like, acknowledge. So if you caught any of that, and you thought any of that was something that maybe you wanted a little bit more information on, please let me know, because a lot of that was really interesting to kind of find out. I would, okay, even if you don't say that you want to hear a video on it, I'm 100% going to talk about the Mayan calendar and that whole fiasco. I think that's really interesting, so I'm definitely going to be talking about that. But if there's anything else that you want to have like a full-length video on, please let me know in the comments, because I want to know what like you guys are interested in, because I compiled this list of things that when I was looking through history, these were things that interested me, they caught my eye, so I have no problem researching any of this if there's something that y'all want to know more about. Other than that, that was a lot of words. It's Monday, so tomorrow there's a true crime case coming out, and then obviously coming up, I'm gonna have more Christmas related stuff. We're gonna be talking about the traditions around the world for Christmas next Monday, and then it's gonna be the history of Santa Claus and then the history of Christmas. I also, coming up pretty soon in a couple of weeks, I'm gonna have Kilmas, my 12 days of Kilmas. And for that, I'm gonna have episodes like where I read Christmas tales. I'm going to read 'Twas the Night Before Christmas on Christmas Eve. And I'm also going to be talking about all the creatures of Christmas. And some of those are really interesting. I was having a lot of fun researching that because, spoiler alert, Christmas equals psychedelic mushrooms. And that's all I'm going to say on that. You're going to have to tune in if you want to know what the hell that means. But yeah, thank you guys so much for stopping by. If you did like this video, go ahead and thumbs up and tell me what you want to hear about in the comments down below, or what you're excited about for Christmas. And then if you didn't like the video, go ahead and hit that dislike button and tell me what you think I could improve in the comments down below. I will always take constructive criticism as long as it's kind and not cruel. And that is all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Bye!